All right, at this point in time, we have another special guest. Professor Arvind Mahajan of the Texas A&M University is also joining us. Thank you, sir, for being here. The first question, has the result surprised you? What do you make of Donald Trump making history with this comeback?
Not really. I mean, I think they were so close to call that it was a flip of a coin. So it was not a surprise. I mean, either one could have won. These were probably at least perceived to be the closest of the elections, although the results which came out were not as close as people expected. So no, it was not a surprise. I mean,
Okay.
either one could have won, I think.
What do you think worked in favor of Donald Trump?
Well, that's a complicated question in the sense that I think the United States is going through an evolution itself. It's going through cultural evolution, and there are economic dimensions to it as well. I think people thought in the first Trump term there was a fair amount of chaos. There was a lot of unpredictability in policy, but the economy was doing well. The Biden term, somehow, even though it created jobs and the economy was not that bad, except for inflation, somehow people perceived Biden's term to be not very good. And I think Trump reiterated that enough times that that people actually did not believe that Biden term was successful, in particular from an economic viewpoint, and primarily because of inflation. And I
Okay.
think that Harris was so aligned with him that she never quite could separate herself from Biden policies.
Right, and did the Democrats not have much of a choice to pick a presidential candidate, do you think now in retrospect?
Yeah, there really were not too many. I mean, they really, the wedding, and that was another problem actually, because Kamala Harris was, in a way, a last minute pick. And people usually do not pay a whole lot of attention to a vice president as compared to the president. So during the Biden term, I don't think people scrutinized Kamala Harris very much, or frankly, attempt to know much about her. I think Indian Americans perhaps were more interested in her just because of her India connection, but most Americans really didn't know very much about her. And because she had a very short time to be the nominee for the Democrats, people never really got to know her too well. And also, I must say that her policies, as she articulated, were kind of muted. They were not very clear.
And what do you think is the reason for the Indian American community to support Donald Trump this time around?
I think that is true, actually. Indians were a pretty monolithic democratic bloc. The Democrats could count on Indians to vote for them. But the Indians in the United States now are a mature group, is a successful, well entrenched ethnic group. And the second generation of the migrants, Indian migrants, who were born here and who are raised here, their viewpoint is quite different than that of the first generation immigrants. And also, you know, Indians are actually the most successful ethnic group in the United States. Their per capita income and per household income is the highest of any ethnic group. So many Indians view policies less from the social prism and more from the economic prism.
And do you think Donald Trump will consider including more Indian American Republicans in his government?
That I am frankly not sure of, just because I've not studied it that deeply. I think the Democratic administration picked up a fair amount of South Asians in government positions. The Trump administration, I think it remains to be seen. It's unclear to me how many Indians they will pick up or South Asians they will pick up to represent them. That's unclear.
And do you think that Trump can end the Ukraine-Russia war?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And as a matter of fact, when Trump announced that he can finish that war in one day, everyone was kind of flabbergasted. And because Trump occasionally says things which are in the left field, they don't bother people that much. But I'm sure everyone wondered how he'll be able to fix that problem in one day. However, his policies, and he has announced that publicly, that he does not think that U.S. should be funding this war in Ukraine. And as a matter of fact, U.S. should not be funding operations which are global in nature. I think this is not the first time in the history of the United States that we've had leadership which is more inward looking and more insular. So this has happened in the past as well, that Trump.
And how are India-US relations going to be under Donald Trump? Will Trump's immigration policy impact this relationship?
Yeah, I mean, these are very complex issues, and there are aspects of the Trump administration which we can conjecture will be good for India. But then there are aspects of this administration which can turn out to be not so good for India. So clearly, on the immigration issue, Trump has promised to catch all illegal immigrants and send them back. Now, practically, implementing that is not that straightforward. Having 30,000 people who are involved in this kind of activity are just not enough. So this immigration policy is twofold. One, its impact on the United States itself. And that itself is not clear, even though people emotionally indeed think that the border, especially the southern border, during the Democratic administration had become very porous.
Sir, appreciate you took out the time and spoke to us. Thank you so much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.